Exxaro offered to extend the contract at an average price of 737 Rand a ton, excluding capex and closure costs. The comparative report, parity price of coal is much lower. No commercial justification existed to continue or renew this contract. Second, poor operational performance by Exxaro resulted in under-delivery of non-contractual volumes. The procurement outcome. Eskom had justifiable reason for not renewing the contract with Eskom. And when I talk about Eskom, I'm talking about the board of directors of Eskom. We are the leadership of this company. The conflict conclusion, not applicable. Not applicable. Continuing with Anor Power Station. There was an open RFP, request for proposal process, that was done in March 2016. Open public. Business need and justification. The tonnages supplied under the contract were below contractual volumes, necessitating Eskom to supplement the supply with other contracts to mitigate security of supply, which was a continuous challenge. And let me take this opportunity to invite all of you to visit our power stations. They're absolutely monstrous, and they gobble up the coal. In anticipation of the expiry of the contract, a request for proposal, RFP 3264, was issued to the market in August 2015. The rationale for issuing an RFP to the market is based on the expiry of the Anor contract and the then exorbitant cost of coal from the expired contract. It's clear, very clear. 5 suppliers were shortlisted and negotiations concluded with 4 of the shortlisted suppliers. This RFP process was conducted in parallel to previous events detailed previously. So we're running a real-time operation. Different power stations, different contracts, all needing our care and attention. The procurement outcome. In terms of the PPFA instruction notes, Eskom is required to report transactions to National Treasury prior to award. National Treasury has indicated that a closed process is to be followed. Contract terms are still being finalized. And we get regularly these instruction notes, and we continuously respond to all of them. The conflict conclusion. All perceived conflicts were deliberated on, and no conflicts of interest were identified. Absolutely clear. The Anor Power Station, the whole discussion on prepayment. And we're talking here the Tegeta prepayment, April 2016. And let me remind all of our colleagues out here. In a few years' time, Eskom will be celebrating 100 years. 100 years. This company has deep foundations, very strong processes, very strong practices. And we will invite you to join us in that 100-year celebration. Business need and justification, the procurement outcome, and the conflict conclusion. And let's go through this one a little bit slowly. An assessment of the winter supply plan was conducted, and this indicated a shortfall of 2 million tons of coal to meet production requirements at Anor. Right, so I try and get in your mind what this 2 million tons means. All existing suppliers, as noted above, was approached to mitigate the above volume risk. Time and quality of coal were the overriding factors that would have determined the successful supplies. Only two suppliers, namely Tegeta and Umsumbiti, were able to increase volumes and meet the time and quality requirements. We need 2 million tons. 2 million tons. 1.2 million tons of coal from Tegeta was procured under the 2008 coal mandate to ensure security of supply and to prevent load shedding during winter. And we were extremely tight at the border. There will be no load shedding. We have to manage the situation such that there is no load shedding for our customers. That was our top priority. The prepayment was made in terms of the board-approved 2008 coal mandate in respect of coal prepayments. 659 million including VAT. Several other prepayments to suppliers have been made since 2008, ranging from 100 million to 400. Cost plus minus, and we have lots of discussions around this whole issue of cost plus minus. Started in 1923. Lots of discussions. also enjoy upfront investments of capital into their mining operations. The future investment requirement is 38 billion. The latest cost plus request for capital approved by the board on the 27th of September, just the other day, was for Eskom, was for the Matla mine, was for 1.8 billion rands. 1.8 billion rands. Eskom is an enormous business. When we talk millions and billions, it is large. It's the 7th largest power utility in the world. This is of global significance. It needs to be taken care of with utmost discipline and care. Other than coal prepayments, Eskom had prepaid other suppliers an amount of 3.5 billion at 31st March 2016. And we provided all this information, boxes of it was delivered. Eskom and financial risks associated with the prepayment were adequately mitigated by Eskom. An internal audit verification conducted revealed that the quantum of the prepayment was fully recovered by coal delivered by Tegeta by 31st of August 2016. This successfully enabled Eskom to overcome the winter challenge without load shedding and also without the use of diesel. We're adamant we will not use diesel. Diesel must be switched off. Procurement outcome and the conflict conclusion. The procurement complied with relevant Eskom procurement policies. As I said, this company was established 100 years ago. It's got deep foundations in terms of policies, procedures, and practices. It's not something that we just put on the table today. Prepayment complied with relevant Eskom policies and is not exceptional in nature. Commercial and financial risks of the transaction were mitigated. And Eskom does that in every transaction. Every transaction that goes through, there is risk evaluation, risk mitigation, risk management. Prepayment completely recovered without no risk whatsoever. 8 potential suppliers were considered for coal supply, concluding a contract with 2 due to quality and timing constraints. Consequently, the market was appropriately tested. The conflict conclusion. Again, the approval board was the board tender committee and not the full board of directors. The members of the BTC recused themselves where potential conflict existed and were not part of the decision. And we are very clear about that. We check that all the time. Let's talk about Kumati. Kumati. This was one of those return to service power stations that we brought back to support South Africa's growing economy, to support our supply capability. Prunful together. 2nd September 2016, 2.4 million tons per annum. Again, we'll talk through the different headings. Let's start first with business need and justification. Kumati was established as the mouth of the mine power station. Mouth of the mine. Earmarked for the surrounding coal reserves to ensure minimal transport for the coal. We basically lift it from the ground and we put it into the boilers. Koorfontein is therefore best positioned to supply coal to Kumati at a cost effective. The Koorfontein contract was approved for extension on the 8th of August 2016. Approval for the modification was obtained from National Treasury on the 17th of August 2016. And you can see, we're not doing our own arrangements here. We're continuously communicating with National Treasury on all matters. Approval for the modification was obtained from National Treasury on the 17th of August. Subsequent to this approval, the contract extension was signed on the 2nd of September 2016 for a 7-year period. The Eskom coal supply plan indicates that Kumati requires 200,000 tons per month supply of coal for financial year 2017 and beyond. To mitigate this shortfall, a contract for the supply of coal had to be put in place. Procurement conclusion. We've complied with all relevant procurement policies of Eskom and even National Treasury. Full compliance. It's approved by the board, tender committee, National Treasury approved it. This was obtained on the 17th of August 2016 from Chief Director, SCM, governance, monitoring, and compliance. There's a big structure with the National Treasury that manages all these issues for the state-owned enterprises. The conflict conclusion, the approval body was the Board Tender Committee. Members of BTC recused themselves of potential conflict that existed and were not part of the decision. I'm a member of the Institute of Directors Southern Africa. That's a common practice. We go for training, regular exercises to manage our delivery of duty at the Eskom board. Shareholder value created by the various coal agreements. I said to Chief Financial Officer, give us these numbers and let's talk about these numbers. And there's 4 of them that is currently on the table, on the radar. We'll talk about all 4 of them. Hendrina, Arnold, and we'll talk about the Arnold issues. Hendrina first, the optimum case. The benefit of the Tegeta-owned optimum colony compared to the Glencore-owned optimum colony is calculated based on the difference between what we got from the real price from Tegeta and the revised Glencore offer price for the same coal, same quality, same delivery conditions and terms and conditions. From 1st of April 2016 until that contract expired on 31st of December 2018. So just for that short time period, we calculated what was the delta. What was the delta? And what did that give us? And that delta, the real benefit that we delivered to the customers of our electricity was 3.385 billion rands. That goes straight to the bottom line, straight to the tariff. Had we paid the 3.385 billion rands, again, it goes straight to the bottom line and straight to the tariff in the other direction. Prepayment for Arnold coal. The financial benefit of this transaction is compared to the export parity price of coal as delivered to Arnold power station. And Chief Financial Officer computed a figure for me, 61 million. The prepayment for Arnold coal. Right. And this one, read this one carefully. The alternative here was to go and switch on the diesels located in Cape Town. Buy diesel fuel and burn diesel 24/7. Had Eskom anticipated this materializes, National Control would have had no choice but to switch on those diesels. And we would not have purchased the 1.26 million tons of coal, and we would have run the OCGTs to make up that production shortfall of 2.2 million megawatt hours. 5.5 billion rands we would have spent in that short time buying diesel. Arnold contract expiration. At the time of expiry, the coal supply agreement pricing was 1,132 rands per ton. SARO offered to extend the contract at an average price of 737 rands a ton, excluding capex and closure costs. These are also huge numbers when you start with them. The comparative export parity price of coal was much lower. And the real benefit realized by Eskom was 7.743 billion rands, which we posted straight to the bottom line and delivered that to our customers. So it's very, very clear that we have done our job here. Summary and latest developments. Right, we've demonstrated the facts relating to all these transactions. The significant value was obtained by Eskom in concluding these various business transactions. We did our fiduciary duty as the board of directors of Eskom, and as members of the board, and as management. Hard decisions taken to reverse, and we use this sort of phrase, gun to the head, because that's what we do. We were held hostage. Attitude resulted in value for our customers. And you all know the load shedding suddenly stopped. It didn't take months to stop the load shedding. Suddenly, there was a miracle. It just stopped. The load shedding wanted to stop. Value demonstrated in interim results of Eskom to 30th September 2016 with primary energy costs. And we presented this to you in our business results yesterday. Decreased by 1.5% compared to an average increase of 18% over the last 5 years. 23% increase in EBITDA. 23%. When I was driving home last night, I heard the radio announcer say, I don't think anybody even listened to the results of this one. So please, there's value there. 1.5% compared to an average increase of 18% over the last 5 years. The Honorable Examiner said, we're going to give you copies of all this. And please help us work through all these numbers. All contracts were concluded in line with Eskom procurement policies. These are policies that are almost 100 years old. All transactions have a clear commercial rationale. That's the basis of making decisions and running any company. The business case. Is it in the interest of the business? The Companies Act prevails. We work in that space. Tegeta supplies only 9.3 million tons of the 120 million tons the Eskom purchases annually. 7.7%. We haven't even spoken about the giants we operate. 6 by 600 megawatt thermal power stations and the upcoming supercriticals, 6 by 800 megawatt thermal power stations. Just to talk about that, the 6 by 800 megawatt thermal power station, the 45 stories tall. 45 stories tall. The 6 by 600 megawatt, which are referred to as the super thermals, they're 35 stories tall. Arbitration proceedings between Eskom and Tegeta have commenced regarding the optimum penalty. Yes, you remember the optimum penalty? Still there. And is progressing well. On 3rd October 2016, Tegeta advised Eskom of its intention to reach a mutual agreement on specific terms to terminate all their contracts. Terminate. Now you want us to continue managing the business. At Bradfontein, at Indrina, and again, Eskom works in a space. We deal with suppliers, we deliver to customers. We deal with suppliers daily, thousands of transactions. Thousands of transactions. Should be noted that Tegeta did not respond to the open inquiry RFP for supply to market. And you can draw your conclusions. These are the facts. And we are going to give you all the facts. So let's talk a little bit about conflict of interest. In terms of the coal supply agreements, I only refer to those power stations or those particular contracts that are currently on the radar. There's numerous other contracts within the business itself. So let's talk about conflict of interest. Right. This is the board of directors of this company. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to share this information with our folks. I'll start first with our chairman, Dr. Kumati. His declaration of interest compliance, met. Record, audited. Comments. The alleged conflict of interest attributed to Dr. Ngubane is of no consequence because he did not preside over any transactions relating to Tegeta. Dr. Ngubane is a big man. He's not going to be sitting in all those little committees. We further note that Mr. Essa resigned as a director of GATE, G-A-T-E, Oil and Gas Pty Limited, on 13 August 2014 after a period of 3 months. So whatever value that is, we give you the facts. My colleague, Mr. September Kosa, declaration of interest, full compliance. No specific issues raised with respect to Mr. Kosa. My colleague, Leonardo, declaration of interest, compliance managed, no specific issues raised. Compliance, sorry. My colleague, Ms. Magudi, full compliance with declaration of interest, no specific issues raised. This is with respect to the public projects. Myself, I guess I must say for myself. Full compliance, no specific issues raised. My colleague, Mark Pamensky, yes. Full compliance managed. Comments. Mr. Pamensky was never a member of the board tender committee, and consequently would not have influenced the outcome of any decision in respect to Tegeta. When we say he's not a member, he doesn't get any information, he doesn't participate in any whatsoever. None. Mr. Pamensky was a member of the Investment and Finance Committee, IFC of the board. It can further be confirmed that no transaction relating to Tegeta has served before the IFC since his appointment. Remember the Tegeta contracts? Yeah. Yes. In addition, Mr. Mark Peminsky recused himself when necessary, when the board considered matters relating to Tegeta. So whenever the individual committees do the work, they come and report back to the full board of directors. And when they report back to the full board of directors, Mr. Mark Peminsky recuses himself for all matters that's pertaining to Tegeta. The only instance in this case was on 27 September 2016, as it relates to the board considering management's responses to a National Treasury request relating to their draft findings in relations to the Bradfontein contract with Tegeta. That was the only case. My colleague, Nazia Kerem, declaration of interest compliance, yes. Comments there, in terms of the policy, only lineage conflict of interest would need to be declared. A husband's alleged association with Mr. Hassan. Consequently, it is our considered view that Ms. Curry did not breach any obligations. She resigned from the board of Eskom on the 30th June 2016. Colleague M. Castle, Ms. Castle. Yes, full compliance for a declaration of interest. Ms. Castle was never employed by Sahara Computers. A correction was sent to the public protector, but this does not seem to have found its way into her report. And we felt that it is correct and appropriate for us, even if Ms. Castle left us, for us to put the facts on the table. The alleged conflict of interest attributed to Ms. Cassim is of no consequence, because Ms. Cassim did not preside over any procurement transactions. She resigned from the Eskom board on the 14th April 2016. My colleague, Mrs. Naidu, full declaration of interest compliance was conducted. Mrs. Naidu recused herself from this decision of the board tender committee on 10 February 2016, declaring her potential conflict, her husband being the advisor to the Minister of Mineral Resources. As it relates to the meeting of 7th March 2016, Mrs. Naidu declared a potential conflict of interest as noted above. And in terms of the policy, the chairman invited comments from other members of the committee and concluded that due to the nature of the 10 items being considered, no potential or perceived conflict of interest exists. Thus, Mrs. Naidu had complied with obligations. Mrs. Naidu's non-recusal of the BTC meeting on the 11th and 13th April 2016 was justified, as the potential conflict declared previously had now been resolved. This had been resolved by her husband resigning as advisor to the Minister of Minerals and Resources. Mrs. Naidu therefore complied with the obligations to declare, and thereafter she resigned from the board of Eskom on the 15th of June 2016. I can see the pressure you've been putting on our board members. Untold pressure. We all are here to do national duty. That's what we are here for. We are here to serve the country and serve our customers. Director Kumalo, Romeo, he did his full declaration of interest compliance. Mr. Kumalo was not a member of the board tender committee. And the alleged conflict of interest attributed to Mr. Kumalo by the public protector is of no consequence, because he did not preside over any transactions related to Tegeta. Mr. Kumalo also resigned from Eskom. Again, undue pressure on all board members, and the board, and the company, and our customers, and the employees, and the shareholders, the investors. We run such a big operation, we talk 24/7 to the global financial markets. You disturb us. My colleague, Mrs. Klein, no issue around declaration of interest compliance, no specific issues. My colleague, Brian Molefi, Group CEO, thank you for coming to us. Mr. Molefi is not a member of any subcommittee of the board. Not a member. Doesn't even enter the room. No specific issues. My colleague Anoj Singh, also thank you Anoj for joining us. He is not a member of any subcommittee of the board and cannot influence any board decisions. No specific issues. All right, full compliance. And what I've told you is all audited. We've got external auditors, internal auditors. They audit us 24/7. Only. So let's wrap up. Now, I think we've given you a lot of the facts. We've got a lot to chew on, a lot to report on, a lot to talk about. So let's wrap up. Right. All transactions complied and continues to comply with Eskom's procurement policies and procedures, which are consistent with the requirements of the PFMA. And all regulatory and all legal transactions of the country. All transactions are based on sound commercial rationale. The board has complied with its duties to manage conflicts of interest, as and when this arose in terms of the applicable policies and governing legislation. We believe, and we want to say confidently, we run a world-class operation, not negotiable on all its expectations. External audit, internal audit, and independent external legal firms have reviewed the contents of this presentation. So we haven't just suddenly packaged something and brought it. We've done our due diligence and our controls. External audit, internal audit, and independent external legal firms have not identified any non-compliance on the part of the Eskom Board of Directors. Remember, we work all the time within the framework of the Companies Act of the Republic of South Africa. The Eskom Board of Directors complied fully with its fiduciary duties towards the company. It was so sad when I heard on news all the comments regarding the Board of Directors and Eskom and the management. The Board of Directors acted in the best interest of Eskom by ensuring significant value was created by the company. Material significant value that we passed on to our customers. It is not clear how the conclusion that the Eskom Board acted unethically and unlawfully can be made. The Board of Directors is concerned that the findings made general observations and refers to these as evidence implicating Eskom and the board. It is so sad. On the 2nd of November, we had just concluded the awards function at the School of Mechanical Engineering Science, University of Johannesburg. And while sitting in the auditorium like you, I saw on my email a copy, a note came from the company secretary. He has a copy of the Public Protector's report. So I went home to replenish. I started reading that report, 355 pages. And I read it. And I read it. And after reading it, I just came to one conclusion. Eskom has cooperated with the Public Protector by providing all the required information. However, it is noted that Eskom has not afforded a right of reply or the opportunity to cross-examine the Public Protector's evidence. And when I say we provided all the required information, I think it is about 168 boxes of this information. Boxes. We sent a truckload of this stuff. This under threat from the Public Protector stating non-compliance with the unrealistic deadlines may well result in adverse findings against the Eskom Board. Can you see how serious this is? We talk to our investors 24/7. We talk to our customers. We've got real-time duty. And suddenly we were hit with this finding. It's an observation. It's very sad. Consequently, the board does not believe any fruitless or wasteful expenditure has been incurred as value has been demonstrated. And we've done our duty and exercised due diligence. And we have all the material information to put on the table and to back up those statements. Finally, the Eskom Board of Directors is considering to take the report of the Public Protector on review. Thank you, colleagues. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to share the proceedings of the board. Group Chief Executive, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nadu. For those who may have missed his full name is Dr. Fred Nadu. He is the chairperson of the subcommittee called the Social Ethics and Sustainability within the Business. We will now give you an opportunity in case there are any issues that you need clarity on or that you maybe may have missed or those kind of things. So you give us an indication as to who you are and the organization that you represent, and then we will take it from there. We'll take it in smaller chunks, 3 at a time, and then we'll see where we end up. We will start with the gentleman on the with a white shirt.
Hello. Hi, my name's Joel, City Press. I just want to say that most of the information that is in the report is reflected there, apart from the part about the board member not having been an employee of Sahara. And a lot of it is in Marcelo's report. It's not excluded, so therefore we would see it as a counter argument. But also the thing about the prepayment having been rational and commercial and so on, I mean, that's not the basis on which there was a problem with it in the report. The basis is that it wasn't used for what it was intended to be used. It's that they used it to buy a mine as opposed to the same objective on which it was approved, which is to buy equipment and make it feasible to the coal. So does that in Eskom's view matter at all if they just presume that that mine was not used? This was used to buy a mine, does that matter?
I'll go to my right-hand side and speak. Take mine.
I think. Let me answer one at a time. Then we'll we don't say just for clarity in terms of Sahara computers. What did you say?
Sorry, the only point that was raised here that I really hadn't seen in the public sector's report already was about one board member's conflict of interest as to having been a Sahara computer employee, which you say was not true. Over that, but that still reflects in the report. But most of the other explanations for why there were conflicts and the case where they were accused of meetings and so on, those are all reflected in this report.
Yes. Yes, just for clarity, all I said was Ms. Kassim was never employed by Sahara Computers. Purely a fact. All we say is we just put in facts. Thank you. On your second point regarding the prepayment issue around what we have done, all I've done is provided the facts. I just gave you the facts. Thank you.
Mike? Yes, Kevin, apologies.
Give him a mic.
Is this working? Kevin Brown from Bloomberg News. And one of the slides there, Tegeta has notified Eskom of its intention to cancel all its contracts with Eskom. And why is that? And how those negotiations go? When do you expect those contracts to be cancelled?
Thank you for that. Again, let me reiterate. All I've done to this morning is give you the facts. It is to be noted that Tegeta did not respond to the open supply RFP for supply of coal to contract, and Tegeta advised Eskom of its intention to reach a mutual agreement on specific terms to terminate all their contracts. That's the facts, just the facts. I don't know why, but those are the facts. Thank you.
Kumati?
Commitment of Business Day Financial Day. Dr. Nigel, thank you for the presentation, sir. I'm here.
Oh, you did? Okay,
you are saying Eskom and Optimum have entered into arbitration about the 2 billion rand fine. In August 2015, Eskom issued a demand for the repayment of that fine. Has anything changed, or is that how the process goes? You first issue a demand and then you enter into arbitration? Second question.
Yeah, let me answer that. I think you gave the question and you gave the answer. Thank you.
Have I got the answer now? What is the answer, sir?
It's part of the process.
You start by issuing a demand and then you go into arbitration, and what happens next?
We follow the process.
What is the process?
Just a minute. define the process.
The process is set out in the contractual terms. What has happened is that Eskom has issued its statement of claim. Optimum has the opportunity to file its statement of defense. It is due in the first week in December.
Thank you. Sir, you then state that the prepayment that you're giving us a value or benefit to Eskom thereof. Was that money paid to Tegeta or was that money paid to Optimum? And what exactly was it for? And how much of a coincidence is it that Eskom 12 hours before Tegeta was supposed to pay 2.1 billion rand and had already said it's short 600 million rand, Eskom pays this 600 million rand. So the questions there say are, what was that money for? What was it used for? Who was it paid for? And why did it come exactly as Tegeta was short of money?
All right, so let me, for clarity, the value that we talk about, that delta we talk about, between the difference between the Tegeta real coal price and the revised Glencore offered price between the period 1st April 2016 and 31st December 2018, it's a calculated value, it's not real money, it's calculated value, 3.385 billion rands. That's the delta we talk about, it's a value. I'll request the Chief Financial Officer to give you a more detailed briefing on that.
Thank you, Dr. I think today's presentation is all about facts, and therefore Mr. Naidu is reiterating the issue around facts. The fact is, we needed coal, we needed a supply of coal. To get up with the coal, we purchased the coal. There was a request for a prepayment, the prepayment was made, and there was a demonstration around value associated with the payment for the coal. And that's the sum total of the transaction. Associated with the timing, we have no idea what the data is doing with it. There's no facts associated with that, so there's nothing that we can respond to that.
If you will say, right on that one, you pay 600 million rands for a specific reason and then you have no idea what the money was used for. Is that what you just said?
There were assertions and facts that were presented to us by the data associated with why the prepayment was required. And I think we dealt with that in previous media briefings, and those facts remain the same.
And you just said you have no idea how that money was used.
No, can I interpret here? The coal they were supplying was not enough for winter stocks. We wanted more. The only way they could give us more was going into the export quality coal. That's what the money was used.
Listen. If you prepaid 600 million for coal, the coal was used. Now, I don't know where you get the story that the money was used to pay the purchase price. I don't know if it was that money or it was other money, but all I know is the coal was delivered. Mr. Coal was delivered.
Thank you, sir. I have not said what the money was used for. I asked what was it used for. And
I don't know what it was used for, but the coal was delivered. The coal that we bought with the money was delivered.
Let's repeat this then, sir. I think no idea what the money was used for.
I think we can clarify this more later if there is an inquiry or a review. But all we can say for now is that the coal was delivered.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Naidu offered to answer a question and then another question. There are those that he has not answered.
Maybe just for the benefit of everyone.
I have already asked them.
Yes,
We're waiting for an answer.
Just clarifying. For after Sipanat, you will have a chance to ask your question. But for everyone else, at least let's limit ourselves to 2 questions each. We'll have another round where we can take additional questions. But you can finish off with the one that you wanted to follow on.
Thank you, sir. The question you have not yet answered, Dr. Naidu, is who that money was paid for and who supplied the coal. The last one, before Kulu grabs the mic from you said that everyone had an equal opportunity to approach Eskom without being solicited to offer coal. The question is, did Eskom put that contract out to tender or did it not? And how does that relate to the requirements of the Public Finance Management Act? Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Dr. Naidu.
Yes. Let me bring up that particular slide and we'll go through the details again for you. Thank you. Is this the one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What fact about it that you're not clear about?
Thank you, Dr. Naidu.
Thank you, sir.
Who was the money paid to and who delivered the coal? One. And you said in your presentation, in the matter of Tegeta approaching Eskom, you said everyone had an equal opportunity to approach Eskom without being solicited, as Tegeta did. The question I have, did Eskom put that tender out, that contract out to tender or did it not? And how did Eskom's conduct there relate to the Public Finance Management Act and the duty of care of the board of Eskom?
Okay, I see where you were not clear. And I agree with your non-clarity. This contract was a contract that was entered into with Glencore some long time ago. Didn't happen now. It was a contract that was entered into Glencore long time ago. Not with Tegeta, not with anyone else, but with Glencore. Historical. It's an historical contract that's traveling in time. I think the start date of that contract was 1993, somewhere around there. Right? So we did not enter into any contract with Tegeta whatsoever. It's a Glencore contract. So Glencore had a coal supply agreement with Eskom to supply coal to Indrina Power Station. So that's the legal entity as Glencore. And that contract expires in December 2018. And the price in that contract is fixed, 150 rands a ton. Fixed. Quality specifications are fixed. It's managed by Eskom and by the Bureau of Standards. Delivery conditions are all fixed. Eskom was approached by the owners of Optimum Coal Mine, Glencore's owners, the owner of the contract, to say they have hardship. They have hardship in terms of the coal supply agreement, and they proposed 442 rand per ton, and the proposed 442 rand per ton. I recall this conversation very carefully. South Africa was in Roshia. I was sitting there when this discussion came to us. And this was my response to management that brought this hardship clause. There's a clause in that contract called hardship. They said, Glencore says they have hardship. And my immediate response as a board of director member of Eskom, please go and tell Glencore, we also have hardship. That was my response. You have hardship, we have hardship. We were working with Eskom to stabilize it at that particular time. Deep hardship, not just hardship, very hard hardship, whatever word we call it. And then even at that time, there was this dispute between us and Glencore, OCM owners, valued at 2 billion rands. That's on the table. And we refused to accept the price that OCM had put. I personally refused. And we demanded you pay us that money. Remember, that was a time where we had a liquidity crisis in Eskom, guys. We had a liquidity crisis. The guys came to say to us at one meeting, there's a going concern issue. I said, what do you mean there's a going concern issue? There's no cash in the bank. That's the time we had to deal with all these issues. Now let's not me go through the facts, the order there, but I think I've given you the essence of it. Happy?
No, sir.
Not happy?
No,
What are you not happy about?
the question I asked, when,
Okay, all right, carry on.
Can we proceed to slide 9? 9. Thank you, sir. As we explained on the slide, the procurement of the 2 million tons of coal was conducted through the 2008 coal mandate approved by the board. The coal mandate at the time allowed for a limited approach to the market. You did not have to issue an open RFP to the market in terms of the 2008 mandate concluded by the board. Consequently, 8 potential suppliers as indicated were concerned. We concluded a transaction with 2 of them based on timing and quality constraints. So that is how we comply with the agreement. In terms of who we paid, the contractual agreement was with Msumbiji as well as Tegeta. The payments went to Tegeta and Msumbiji for the goal that was delivered by Tegeta and Msumbiji.
Very clear. Thank you, Chief Financial Officer. Happy?
thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Naidu, and for clarifying or reducing the hardships from Simulati's side. I've noted you, Chris. Siseko.
Thank you very much. My name is Siseko Jobeni from Business Report. I'm afraid I'll take you back to Simulati's first question about the 2 billion penalty. During the session process, I understand that Eskom insisted that the terms and conditions be the same as those that were for Optima, that is contracts for. Now make me understand what happened between that period when the session process took place and this arbitration proceedings that you're talking about. What are the discussions that took place? What is the context? Please do explain this to me because it's just not clear to me. The second question I've got is...
Okay, just wait, just hold on that one. Let our company secretary handle that one for us.
Okay.
Please.
We'll take all the questions first.
Okay.
And then,
all right.
Because some of them are related.
All right.
The second question I have is that even Mr. Molivi yesterday kept talking about the participation in the commission that has been recommended. Yet, again, the same breath, the organization talks about taking the decision for review. What do you want to achieve with the review?
Next question.
If you allow me, Dr. Naidu, we'll take Chris and then we will have sort of a bigger chunk that we can deal with. Sibanati, you are honorable member. Chris?
Good morning, Chris Young from EE Publishers here. I've got 3 questions, quick questions. Dr. Naidu, you said that the board had always acted ethically and lawfully. Can you comment on the judgment by the Supreme Court of Appeal, the matter of a R6 billion contract at Kuburg Power Station, where the Supreme Court of Appeal found that Eskom acted unfairly and unlawfully? Second question, if a prepayment to Tegeta was a normal prepayment, the normal course of business, why did Mr. Koko see fit to deny this prepayment on national TV before being exposed? And thirdly, Dr. Naidu, you said that Eskom works very closely with and has always complied with the requirements of National Treasury. Why then did National Treasury say recently, I think it was the Chief Procurement Officer at National Treasury said that Eskom lied? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just to remind everyone, at least 2 questions at a time. We'll have another round. And welcome, by the way, Chris. The issues around us blacklisting you hopefully are resolved now. We'll speak to the gentleman next to Siseko.
Tony Beamish from Carte Blanche. I have 2 questions. The first relates to the proposed review of the Public Protector's report. Now, surely the most appropriate, if not expeditious, response would be to say, let's railroad that Judicial Commission of Inquiry, we will cooperate, and the decision will be made by a judge, and whoever might form part of that Judicial Commission of Inquiry, rather than a public protector. That's the first part. And the second question I have, which I'll preface with the idiom relating to public service and public institutions, is that Caesar's wife should be above reproach. Now, in your presentation today, correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears to me that in every instance where the board tender committee considered tenders, in every instance someone there had to recuse themselves on the basis of a potential conflict of interest. I find that alarming. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Chair, before you respond, for those who are using Wi-Fi, I forgot to remind about this one. The password and the username are NOV for November, small letters 2016, NOV 2016 for both your password and the username. Dr. Nelly?
All right. Thank you, sir. Let me go to my colleague that asked those first 2 questions, and I'm going to route that one to my colleague on the legal side. Company Secretary, the first question from my colleague there on the legal process.
Okay, on the 2 billion penalty, the reason why we only started now is that you will recall that Optimum was in business rescue in terms of the Companies Act. It only came out of business rescue on the 31st of August this year, and hence we then could proceed. For those of you who are not lawyers, you will be made to understand that once a company goes into business rescue, all the legal proceedings are stayed, and it's on that basis that we could not proceed. So now that they have been reinstated, we have started the proceedings, and it will be continued under the arbitration provisions. On the issue of Westinghouse, no court has found on the unfairness and unethicalness of the tender process. In fact, when we were at the Constitutional Court, the question was emphatically posed to the Westinghouse attorneys as to on what basis there was no allegation of corruption, etc. And we are still awaiting the outcome of the Constitutional Court judgment. The other issue is, why would we want to consider a review proceeding? At the moment, there are a number of inconsistencies in the report, and we have asked Council to look at our options. And that is why we are considering it.
Thank you, Company Secretary. Going to Mr. Yellen's questions. Mr. Yellen, with due respect, all 4 of your questions have got no relevance to the information I presented today. Absolutely no relevance. So please do not throw me into that discussion. No need for it. Thank you. Going to point number 3, sir, what we said is we are considering a review. We're still in discussion in terms of how we manage that going forward, and you'll be advised of process in due course. As I said, Eskom is a 24-hour business. We talk to global investors to suddenly take a swipe at us without founded facts hurts the business, and we have to perform our FIDO should be accountability and duty in terms of taking care of the business. In terms of your second comment regarding the workings of the Companies Act, board committees, board itself, and board committee operations, it's a structured process, and we work within that structured process. Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna sort of take a break now. Oh, sorry.
As well, I think when we look at conflicts, there is no requirement for conflicts not to exist. Conflicts are not outcome. Conflicts need to be declared and managed. And that is what we try to convey in the presentation. There are many non-executive directors on many JSE listed companies that effectively have many conflicts. We are no different.
We're gonna try to see if we have any people joining us on the chorus call from across the nation.
There are no current questions on the line.
No. Thank you so much. I'll give the chance to the lady over here, and then to Warren and to Terence. I'll stop right there, and then I'll give you another chance, starting from my right.
Thank you so much. My name is Calvin Ongo from ANN7. Going back to prepayment, Tegeta is concerned, Tegeta was 600 million short for the purchase of Optimum Mine, and they had been refused a loan by the consortium of banks. What PP's report suggests that on the day before the payment was due, the board had an emergency meeting where a loan was approved for Tegeta. What her report suggests is that this could be in violation of several acts. Your comment on that? Thank you so much.
Warren?
Sorry, Warren from Moneyweb. Just a question around that prepayment as well. As far as I understand it, there's two ways that the prepayment, the consequences of the prepayment. One, Eskom was giving money to a company that did not yet own a mining license or any assets in order to deliver your coal. And if it did, at the time, have those assets, and you were in fact funding prepayment of coal, you were putting 600 million rand into a business that was under business rescue, which in my mind does not sound like a very prudent use of financial resources. So I'd just like to get your comment on that. And then my second question relates to Mr. Malefe's role when he became acting CEO of Eskom, as I understand it, on the 22nd of April last year. At that point, as alluded to in the state capture report, Eskom and the company had made progress on fixing the problem with the price of coal that Optimum said was far below what its costs were. And obviously, Mr. Naidoo, you alluded to the company's proud history, 100-year history that's coming up, and the fact also that Eskom has owned and operated mines of its own through cost-plus arrangements in the past. It appears from the state capture report that the Eskom had sent its auditors and its advisors to check and see if Glencore's costs justified a higher price in terms of the coal that they were supplying to Hendrina. So I just wanted to get your comment on that. It seems that when Mr. Malefe got involved, he did a U-turn on the course of action that the company had undertaken with Glencore to try and sort this contract out, and against the advice of your own people and advisors who had indicated that the costs that Glencore was seeking were justified, resulted in this about turn that eventually led to, I guess, this collapse in the relationship between Glencore and Eskom over this coal supply agreement. So I just wanted to understand, from your perspective, why Mr. Malefe would have done that about turn in what appeared to be contrary to what the part Eskom had gone down on their own.
Terence?
Terence, Prima Engineering News. One of the slides you mentioned that other prepayments were made since 2008, valued between 100 and 400 million rand. I imagine those are also to non-cost plus mines, because you mentioned a whole cost plus mines that are pre-investment. So if you could just give us the identities of those mines have also got prepayments since 2008. And just,
Sorry, we can't do that. I mean, there's customer information which is confidential.
just to follow up on the